jump right into it. Protest and accountability. This topic fell on a few of our minds, I assume, just with everything going on. People protest at Starbucks. People protest at different celebrities talking shit. People protesting reckless behavior. And it's like, is it even a protest? Are we actually getting anything done? Is my question. So let's start off with the first question, which is, what is a protest? Like, what's a protest? What is the purpose of a protest? Like, what's a protest? I assume a protest takes place when, someone on like a particular end of a situation isn't pleased with what's happening or what's being done. And so they, take these steps. But I don't know. I want to hear your guys' thoughts.
I guess like a collective movement acting in response to when an injustice takes place to any like respective community. So like people belonging to that community and allies of that community get together and respond in the form of maybe like sit-ins, die-ins, marches, not, investing into that business. They say like, hey, we're not going to buy nothing from them no more. Things of that nature. Was that a protest in a way when, remember, I forgot who led it, like in the 90s, there was some reverend or pastor that steamrolled over a bunch of like hip hop CDs and albums. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah.
Like
he's protesting against hip hop music.
Yeah, like Dionne Warwick spoke out against like hip hop music at the time, but for some reason like that particular time like rap was a really like hot button topic. And yeah, I just remember like this dude on like a bullhorn talking about like, yeah, we will not allow our children to listen to this, and it was like this steamroller.
Yeah,
like
I remember that.
A bunch of albums.
Mad reckless, yo.
Super reckless. And like, you still had to buy the albums. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if y'all stole the albums and did it, that would have made sense. But it's like, you still contributed.
Right, you bought all these albums.
Still bought all of them to only.
Got their sales up.
Right. So.
And clearly that didn't work. That was like a couple decades ago or some shit.
And rap is still
thriving. The most popular genre of music across the globe. So, again, protest, right?
Oh, God.
I don't know. Yo, G, what you think here?
So, my definition of protest, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to piggyback off of Sheen's. It's just a collective movement to challenge, like, a person, place, or thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be in regards to injustice, because when you think about it, there's, like, white people who protest shit that has nothing to do with an injustice. They just don't like the fact that they're offended. You know
like
what?
Mm-hmm.
Like white people who were protesting the NFL because black NFL players were kneeling.
Right.
And they were like, how dare you disrespect the flag, yo? Fuck that. We not even going to watch the NFL because of y'all.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's not an injustice. They were just offended. So
that shit was just stupid.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So protests doesn't necessarily always have to be about injustice or making a positive change. We could just be like, yo, we just hate this motherfucker's guts, or we just hate this organization. We don't want it in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
We're just not going to support it at all. You
Yeah.
know? And then voila, that's a protest.
No, that makes sense, yo. That's pretty much it. Like, when I look it up, and I made sure not to look at it because I wanted to give my, like, kind of opinion before I seen it, but it's basically saying a statement or action expressing disapproval of or objection to something, or a written declaration, typically by a notary public, that the bill has been presented in payment. That's the second definition. But this is basically like the dictionary.com definition. I think even the verb version is express an objection to what someone has said or done. So it's basically like the protest is expressing, hey, we ain't fucking with this. Is how I take it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, and if that's the definition, then is there supposed to be a benefit from it? Like, if the protest is literally just to say, hey, we don't like this.
Well, if I may add to my definition, I guess, like, whatever I said, I don't remember everything I just said, but whatever I said, and then in addition to that, in hopes that there will be some sort of change, in hopes that there will be some sort of leeway or change with whatever they're protesting. So a change the policy of the business that they're protesting,
right.
Or if it's a certain piece of legislature or something like that.
And that's what I figure. I figure you would do it in hopes that they change something.
Yeah.
Like, that's like my main, I think, issues with a lot of the protests that happen in like today's I'm gonna say today's social media era, because that's all I see is just people expressing that they don't like something, which I guess there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? But sometimes I feel like if I'm going out of my way to do this, then where's the return for me? Or is that wrong for me to even be looking for a return? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But
no, I think anyone who protests, they're expecting a return.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're not gonna just protest for protest's sake. There has to be some type of outcome that you're looking for.
Right.
And even if it is, like, to me, I think the problem with black people, right? I think we protest to convince organizations, corporations, individuals that we are human beings too. To me, that's asinine, right? I'll be like, yo, we should just protest to just shut they shit down. They don't deserve our money, our support. They don't deserve anything. So, like, even me, like, researching, like, the civil rights movement and everything, going into restaurants, demanding that they serve you. Fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, me personally, I'm like, yo, I'm not gonna go in there and ask them for a coffee knowing they're gonna cock a mean loogie in my shit.
Right.
I'm all set. You know what I'm saying? They go in the back, pee in my fucking teacup. You know what I'm saying?
I got
you.
you.
Yeah, it's like, yo, it doesn't even make sense. So it's like, to me, that is counterproductive.
Like, to fight to be somewhere where you're not.
To fight to be respected. You know what I mean? So
and honestly, when
reckless.
like when a business, like, shows their ass like that, that's like looking out for me, because that means I don't have to spend a dime with your business anymore. Like, that's the best possible thing that you could do for me, because I now know for a fact that I'm not gonna sink another penny into this, this business or organization, and I can take my money elsewhere.
To add on to what you're saying, look at Starbucks. They immediately responded.
Yeah, they did.
With that shit. They were like, oh shit, yo, we don't want no problems.
Right.
But look at Waffle House. Yo, there was 2 instances where Waffle House, the sister and the prom kid, police just violated them. Yeah. And Waffle House, their public statement was like, on both occasions, the police were writing exact, this and the third, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, word. We're in an environment where black people are just heightened over anything. Any corporation, and let's be real, Waffle House, probably like at least like 30% of their customers are black.
I'm sure.
Probably more.
Especially down there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So in Alabama and all that
right.
shit, come on.
Yeah.
If I was the corporate office, right, and let's say I was in charge of like risk management or something, or PR or something, I'd be like, yo, listen, I don't think we should do this, or if we do, let's flip it in a way where we could appease both sides, the police and the black community. You know what I mean? But they were just like, nah, yo, we chilling on the side of the police. You could do that. But imagine if black people said, all right, then fuck y'all then. We'll never go to the Waffle House.
Right.
We're going to go to Rome's Barbecue Shack from now on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like,
why gotta be Barbecue Shack? Why can't it be Rome's Bistro?
Whatever.
I'm just trolling.
That makes sense though. I'm with y'all on that, man, because I'm just like protesting for nothing. It's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what's being looked for. The fact that they were like, you know what, it's fine. You guys can totally come in and not even buy anything. Sit down and use the bathroom. We ain't even gonna press y'all no more. Like that was an immediate reply to that. And I feel like some people who be protesting, they're like, nah, we don't even want that, yo. Fuck out of here. We want y'all out of business.
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that. Just that needs to be like said, because here I am thinking that we're doing it until they change something, But I don't know.
Silly me.
You know what I mean? Because I guess it's
fuck change. What's wrong with you?
Fuck change.
Yo,
just get him out of here.
Get him out of here, yo.
Fuck change.
I ain't even mad at that. So, yo, let's go into this next question, because this is like, I think this is interesting. Although in the past, protesting has helped break ground in forming new legislature, fighting segregation and discrimination, is it just as helpful today? What do y'all think on that? This is a good one, because I feel like the way protesting worked back then, I feel like it's too easy to protest right now or something. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't take much to figure out what's going on and then, secede or whatever from, wherever you want to place your dollars or whatever. And it's back then when they had to protest, I don't know. There's a reason it's in history books. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when you do it nowadays, it's almost like there's so many going on. There's no substance behind the movement. Almost, it's like it's just it unfortunately falls into a trend
Yeah,
more
I
than a
kind of see
protest.
what you mean.
Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah, because when we had the attorney here, and we were talking about like instances of like police brutality, and it did sting me a little when he would say, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
That, okay, this is a justifiable homicide. This
Right.
is why legally they're protected under the law, and so on and so forth.
Right.
But if this were the 60s and it said that black people can't drink out of white water fountains, then that answer would be the same. That is the law, that they can't drink out of the water fountains. You know what I mean? We wouldn't really be able to go beyond that. And now I think that even though it's blatantly obvious that there's still racial profiling by the police officers, it's still nuanced in a way that if a police officer says, hey, I feared for my life, that they could throw that in the context of any situation where they're confronting someone that they quote unquote thought that they had a gun. Now, I'm obviously not saying that if I were a police officer, I would have the ability to handle it differently, because I understand when you're walking into a situation and things are like completely unexpected, But at the same time, I think that maybe that's why the protesting does get kind of like bogged down, because it's happening more and more rapidly. And not so much as happening more rapidly, but the news is like catching on to it more and more, because when you read the headline of a black man shot by a white cop, that's going to get a lot of clicks. Like the websites and stuff know that you put black person shot by white police officer, they know that that's going to generate a lot of clicks. So it's really just like money and revenue for the media.
I think the protest now is translating into exactly that, and that's why nothing happens,
Yeah.
Because from what you're saying, it should be easier to protest because there's more video of it. You know what I mean? There's more evidence of it. There's no question. I mean, just talking specifically within the context of, police killings.
But again, like when the attorney was here and he said we were talking about the Sandra Bland case, and the part where the police officer asked her to put out the cigarette, and he mentioned that could be considered, the cigarette could be considered a dangerous weapon. Yeah, deadly or dangerous weapon. Little nuances like that we don't know, where you look at like CNN and MSNBC where they have the commentary about what happened, and they could say like, hey, well, so-and-so did use force, so-and-so was resisting. That's where it gets really muddled.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yo, G, you got anything on it?
I think the difference between current protests and past protests that has gone down in the history books is these aren't necessarily protests, right? These are really people are venting on social media for like a week or two, and then they move past it. They get on like with their lives, right?
Yeah.
I was hopeful with the Bank Black movement, right? That shit's already forgotten. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I barely remember.
But like, remember, like, think about the protests in the 60s, right? There was major factors that played into the success of them. One, they had unified leaders, right? Now, Martin Luther King, as some people may call him like a scumbag, this and the third, and his political tactics was kind of fucked up. How he'll go into like a movement, take over, but because he had like the backing and political support, people were like, yo, fuck it, man. I mean, it's hard to do it by myself. I might as well join his squad. It worked though. It produced results. And not to mention, he was smart. He was strategic. He was like, yo, if you show religious leaders united, right, and you show them getting beat up, right, then the world's going to be like, whoa, what the hell is the United States doing? Then factor in black people up north in the Midwest wasn't having none of that shit. They were like, yo, we'll literally shoot up white people. You know what I'm saying? So white people in other metropolitan areas were scared as fuck of black people at the time. So white people up north was like, yo, we got to do something about the South because now this shit is touching our backyards. Fast forward to today, right? Black people get upset. We watch a video. We're mad for like a day or two. But yet, people still go on their days and do whatever. When the whole Kaepernick thing happened, I was shocked when they said like NFL viewings declined by like 20%. Yeah. But then they said it wasn't because of black people. It's because of white people protesting, black people protesting. That shit's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, So to me, it's like, yo, all of this shit's fake. And the fact that when you really think about it, we have no black leaders right now. Every quote unquote self-proclaimed black leader has major flaws. And I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. Black Lives Matter, God bless. But let's just keep it real. The vast majority of black people in the black community aren't gonna support 3 LGBT women. You know what I'm saying? They're just not gonna do it. And E-Ray, he's a gay man. So it's like a lot of people just ain't gonna rock with that shit. They're gonna be like, yo, that's not my movement, bro. And so to me, you gotta be strategic, right? So you gotta go like, hey, who here is the most articulate? Who here has like a television type face? You know what I'm saying? Like, who here is like tall and that can command space in a room? You gotta think about all of that shit.
No, of
and
course.
then they're not doing none of that.
It's like when Jay-Z sent Alicia Keys to speak for Tidal. When Tidal first came out.
Hey, dog. Oh. But it's like, yo, we have to me,
a little slam poet.
But like, but leaders and people in movements, right? They have to really think about stuff like this, right? Who can be the face of a movement? Now, people could pretend like, oh, our movement doesn't need a face. That's cool. However, this is what we produce. A bunch of motherfuckers on social media complaining about shit, and then the same people that are complaining, like, let's say, oh, yo, fuck the NFL, are the same motherfuckers every Sunday gonna watch a football game. You see what I'm saying? So none of this shit is real. It's all fake. So it's not a real protest.
Yeah.
That's what
Nah, I agree there. I just feel like the only thing I say to that, I think, is I feel like back then, I think the emotions are the same. Because you're saying it's like people kind of upset and venting. And I feel like the emotions today are the same, but I think it's just something to do with like maybe the attention span or how quickly shit happens. For whatever reason, people are like complacent. I hear, there's radio hosts say it all the time where they're just like Charlemagne will be like, yo, I'm like numb to this at this point, but I shouldn't be. Like, sounds in conflict with himself. And I feel like there's a lot of people who actually feel like that.
Oh, there's another part I forgot to bring up too.
What up?
Another major factor. This is a major key, right?
Major key.
Yo. Back then, when we think about most of our leaders, for the most part, they were all religious leaders or they were political leaders. But religious leaders, y'all understand, religion was huge back then, especially in the black community. Everybody went to church. Now, fast forward to 2018, yo, they say like, what is it, 80% of the black church now are black women. Black men don't go to church no more.
Yeah.
And church used to be the town hall meeting. That was the spot where you learned about local politics and supporting each other and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
That was your sense of community. The black church, I'm not saying it's irrelevant now, but it isn't as strong as it used to be a couple of decades prior. So because of that, it's like I could be on my Facebook, you could be on your Twitter, you can be on your Instagram and all that shit, but we're not physically linking up. You see what I'm saying? So it's like I see like, oh, hashtag blah, 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 blah. I don't know who created that shit, but it's like, oh, yo, it's cute.
Yeah.
I'll retweet, I'll do whatever.
Right.
And that's where it stops. You see what I'm saying? But there's no like actual community organizing. There's no like mobilizing. There's no like, yo, let's go meet at this spot, overthrow this building or take down this politician. None of that shit's happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And honestly, if I really, really fucked up, right? Let's say I panicked on this podcast and I said something crazy.
Yeah.
And let's just say
that's never happened.
Whatever. But let's just say I offended a group and they fucking retweeted my shit to death, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't give a fuck. You know why? All I have to do is wait the storm. Like, just wait 2 days.
Right.
They're already moving on to the next bullshit.
Yeah,
that's how fucked up my people are. So it's like, I wouldn't even care at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know, because Charlemagne still talks to this day about how he got dragged on Twitter by black women, about how much he hates black women.
They already forgave him.
Not really.
They forgave him, dog. They
Not
forgave
really.
him. They still support his shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it's split.
Breakfast Club's views ain't going down.
They definitely ain't going
down. So
they
still supporting them.
Are they definitely not going down though? Because I feel like
they're not. Yo, they're not.
This shit's is on point, yo.
I don't want to spend too much time on him because I don't support him. But before he had Tommy Lauren on the show, every now and again he would have a guest that talks about how he hates black women. So I think that there's like a chunk of
like who?
I think TLC called them out on it.
TLC?
Yeah.
Like Chili and T-Boss?
Chili and T-Boss kind of said something like about like how
They said they don't like black women?
they said something
They
implying
called him out for saying something, right?
Yeah, they did call. Okay, I think Chili called him out for saying something about her because I think Chili blocked him. But then,
all right. So
okay,
Charlamagne used to say some sexually inappropriate shit back then.
Yes.
Like, and now he's realized that was wrong, and he doesn't do it anymore. If you notice in the interviews, he doesn't like stare at women no more. He's not smelling the seats. He's not doing none of that stuff that he used to do.
Right.
And to me, that's growth. You know, so.
Yeah.
But I don't.
And I remember Master P called them out. Like Master P's since been on the show and they've been cool. Yeah. But Charlamagne made a comment about Mercedes, and she was like bent over.
Yeah.
And he was just like, so whatever happened to Mercedes? Because she had like a fat ass pussy or something like that.
Yeah.
And P like stopped the interview and was like, wait, we don't do that. Like we.
Oh, Master P
he definitely checked.
And then even when he tried to move on and like ask questions, he was like, yeah, no, it was a good experience. But yeah, man, we don't do that. We don't disrespect women like that. We don't talk about
He's like, yo, I gotta come right back to this. He's like, talking about the
I'm sorry, man. Like that was just because it was just so like raw, you know.
Yeah, nah, I hear you.
All right. So it kind of goes into accountability.
Yeah.
Now that he's accountable for his actions, he realized like, oh shit, I'm getting a lot of backlash from black women on Twitter and other social media platforms. And now he's actively changing. Can you now forgive a brother?
It's not that I don't forgive him. It's just that I can't really rock with it because he also said something where I forgot what guest he was talking to, and he was saying something like, I don't think that colorism really exists. But prior to that, they showed Amara, who's been a very firm advocate about a lot of like internalized oppression that happens within the like the Latinx community. So so there was a woman who made a viral video talking about that, and then she made the point that Jermaine Dupri was talking about Escape and how they were called ugly for a long time and how like some of the members were discriminated because of their dark skin. And Charlamagne does tailor his interviewing style depending on the notoriety of the guest. So sometimes he'll, and I think maybe because it's like, even if he agrees with everything that the guest is saying, for the sake of making good interview, he has to ask questions that speak to the opposition of whatever point that they're trying to make. Like when Azealia Banks was on there and she was talking about the comments that she made about Cardi B and talking about, well, she's getting on because she's light skinned and blah, blah, blah. And then when Amara de Negra was on the show, like prior to that, and he said colorism doesn't exist, that's a blatant contradiction because he's agreeing with what Azealia Banks is saying as far as like Cardi B's quote unquote light skin privilege, but then at the same time, colorism doesn't exist. So there is, to a degree, I feel anyway, when I listen to him or I watch him, there's a little bit of flip-flopping that he does depending on who the guest is.
I'm not trying to keep on the topic, but I listen to Brilliant Idiots, and I'm telling you, listening to the podcast and watching it too.
Yeah.
Yo, you realize Charlamagne isn't that smart. He's not an intellectual. Like, no disrespect to homie.
Yeah.
So it's like, he honestly didn't know about what goes on in Latin America. Yeah. Right? You gotta understand, like, this dude didn't go to college. He was a high school dropout, did prison time, all that stuff.
And you know what, too? Like, I haven't been doing all the education, myself. Like, I don't have all the answers and stuff like that. But I ask first. Like, I don't make presumptions. I don't make outrageous and offensive comments for the sake of making great, salacious radio.
But think about this, though. But that's why people love Charlamagne.
Yeah.
Perfect example, when Super Kev last week was like, yo, y'all gonna get mad views on this one. Like, it sounds stupid, but he was smart, right? Because it's like, he can say what the fuck he wants. But he knows people gravitate to the outrageous. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? People don't gravitate to the careful.
Right.
So Charlamagne would just say whatever the fuck he want. He'll just say it. Like, even sometimes with me, I'm like, I shouldn't say this shit, but I'm like, who gives a fuck, yo? And then and if y'all prove to me like, yo, that was wrong, I'm quick to be like, yo, my bad, I fucked up. And I think Charlamagne is the same way, where it's like, hey, maybe at the time he probably sincerely was like, yo, fuck out of here with that colorism shit. But then there was people even on Brilliant Idiots that spoke to him about it. It was like, yo, you're fucking wrong. Even on Breakfast Club, they told him you're fucking wrong. Yeah. He was reading them tweets, all of that stuff. He realized, like, yo, my bad, I fucked up.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, yo, I respect that. Because he could easily be like, yo, fuck out of here. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, a lot of people do shit like that.
Right.
But he didn't. So it's like, we should at least give the brother some credit. I'm just saying.
No, I do think I do
Yeah.
think that he uses his platform like in a great way at times when he's brought like political leaders on there, and there's just like a common shared thing within the Black community, like different rumors that we hear about certain celebrities that aren't like mainstream. So I definitely applaud the way that he uses his platform at times, but I guess it's just like sometimes I feel like a little itch, like a little when I hear something that's
Well,
that's
we
seemingly
can't please
problematic.
everybody. Yo.
No, you can't.
Nah,
Yeah, that's
man.
right. That's very true.
No, absolutely. It was always going to be someone on the other side. But, I mean, let's just run into this next one then. When protesting a celebrity for their artwork, statements, or behavior, and the ways we've seen, is there any real benefit? Is it even necessary if we know they provide provocative entertainment or subjective materials?
Wait, so I'm sorry. Say that again.
So when protesting like celebrities, specifically artists or whoever, for their artwork or for their statements or for their behavior and the ways that we've seen, right? So just looking at the past, you know, Kanye, the most recent example, or whatever, whoever, Donald Glover. Is there any real benefit to, like, I guess, canceling someone out? You know what I mean? Is it necessary, even though we know they provide provocative or subjective material? Like, is there a point in saying this person's done,
Well, that's a good question.
even if you know the shit's fire?
Yo, yo, listen. It is what it is, B. Yo, to me, it's kind of like, especially those type of artists or those type of celebrities, they walk that fine line. Comedians,
Yeah.
yo, they know, like, I shouldn't say this. You know what I mean? Like for example, right? Rap in the 90s was fucking reckless.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like,
it was.
when a nigga
Yes.
like DMX could say, your daughter older than 15, I'm a raper,
Yes.
shit's crazy. Cameron talking about beating on his moms,
Yeah.
shit was crazy.
Yeah.
None of them motherfuckers would say that shit in 2018. Why? Because now people are too woke. They're gonna be like, yo, dead that. Yo, you're done. So I feel like the more and more people are aware of social issues, the more people speak out. And the more and more people speak out, they protest with their dollars. Like, for example, when Rick Ross said,
The Molly line.
yeah, he took hell for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slipped
Motherfucker
down that
apologized.
track. She ain't even know it.
Yo, if it was in the 90s, he wouldn't apologize for that shit. If it was the 90s, I don't even think people
No
would
one would
protest.
even-
It'll just be the normal shit to say. But now, oh shit, yo, I didn't mean it like that. With the CeeLo comments about Molly and everything,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
sleeping with girls and shit. In his mind, he truly believed, like, yo, that's just before we have sex, we popping Mollies. He doesn't know, like, once they're drugged up, they cannot consent. A lot of brothers didn't know that, but now brothers know, so now we move accordingly. There's just certain things society has to push back, so that way we know that shit's not going to be tolerated again. Chris Brown's another example. Can't be having fucking R&B artists beating up on their women, bro. I don't give a fuck how great they sound when they singing their songs and shit. Can't be having fucking grown-ass men kidnapping fucking 17, 18-year-old girls, R. Kelly, and keeping them locked in his
Every time
mansion.
someone brings up R. Kelly, I'm like,
Shit's
well,
outrageous.
we know R. Kelly's a fucking...
That shit's
deviant
outrageous. You see what I'm
creep
saying?
that
Like,
needs
to
be
me,
locked
I
up.
would never support a R. Kelly anything. But for some reason, black people love this motherfucker so much
Yeah.
that they're willing to turn a blind eye for all the fuckery that he's been doing.
They're just trying to step in the name of love, yo. At them weddings, you know what I mean?
When
I actually agree with what you're saying. I guess to me, maybe it's a case by case.
It has to be
basis.
case by case. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like there's outrage over almost everything. And I think when it gets to a line of violence, or when it gets to a line of, you know, that kind of abuse, then, yeah, the tolerance level has to drop almost completely and say, nah, we can't have that. You know what I mean? But, like, when someone's expressing their political views, or if someone's expressing just the way they feel, I think political is really the hot button topics for it, or, you know,
Yo, it's usually
social-
religion and politics.
yeah.
It's like, it don't matter what's your occupation. Stay out of that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
because
right.
You're bound to offend people on, like, a deep personal level. Because
Yeah.
people really die for their religion and their political views.
And I think as an artist, when you're expressing, it's like, that's where you go. You know what I mean? Because you can't talk about it anywhere else. You're not in a corporate setting where you're not allowed to talk. You know what I mean? Or in that kind of. So they express that, and then whoever gravitate towards them. But do we need to cancel them out? I guess the people who don't rock with it don't have to rock with it. But does there need to be this collective of, yo, like, I guess I'm looking at the outrage of all black people need to stop listening to Kanye's music, or all black people need to stop supporting these artists who grade and blah, 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 blah. But it's like, it's all subjective anyway. All artwork is subjective.
But, you know, if you don't have the attention for it, you don't have the attention for it. Like, I did a couple times by accident listen to that Kanye, Uzi, and Travis Scott song.
By accident.
And, like, because I was like...
I just accidentally kept pressing it. You know what I'm saying?
Because the first time it came on, I didn't know it was him. I didn't know it was his song. And I heard Uzi's verse first and then Travis Scott. And then as soon as I heard Kanye, I was like, I changed the station.
Oh, man.
But I feel like if people don't have the attention for it, that's fine. It's not to say that he's a bad person. It's not to say that they don't hope that he gets all the help and support that he needs and whatever is ailing him and bothering him. Mm-hmm. And then you find this shit out about how he fucking paid that money for that picture of Whitney Houston's bathroom.
What?
The cover of
Pusha. Yo, so the new Pusha T.
Oh yeah,
album,
I seen the cover. Yeah.
I guess that's Whitney Houston's bathroom during her cocaine.
That's kind of clever.
But that shit, to me, is not fucking cool at all. That shit is not fucking cool.
Yo, when she first told me, I had like a similar reaction you just did. I was like,
yo, Pusha, that was kind of smart, bro.
But yo, it was actually, she said it was Kanye who made a last minute, I guess an hour before release.
Like an executive order. Like,
yeah, like, yo, we changing the cover.
Oh, what?
And he put that out. And yo, when you think about it, Pusha made cocaine rap music.
That's what I'm saying, yeah, so.
And I think Kanye was like, yo, that's that shit you want to talk, right? Bam.
But yo, it could have been anybody's bathroom. It could have been there's a million other ideas that would have been so like impactful.
So why Whitney?
Well,
over
like
anyone
let me
else?
Not say that like it could have been somebody else's bathroom.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be nobody else's personal space.
But then that's the conflict.
And you know what? I want to make something clear really quick. I've been getting a couple of critiques that I don't really go hard on my point or like in my arguments, like that I don't really, you know what I'm saying? Because it's 2 against 1 here, you know. Number one.
Nah.
I'm talking about in this situation.
One on one. It's never 2-on-1.
No, the both of y'all are pro, and I'm very con against this. I don't.
Hold on, what?
About the picture of Whitney's bathroom. That shit is foul.
I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't have a strong backative on some of these issues. You know what I'm saying?
Backative.
But you know, I'm chugging along.
Hard for Whitney. I got you, yo.
I just think that was foul. I think that was foul as shit.
Right.
But and you see that, and that's trolling right there. That's
joking,
trolling.
dog.
That's trolling. You're like black feminists. Let's go. Try to transform. Try to war. Blah blah blah. I know exactly what you be trying to do. Okay,
man,
I know exactly what the fuck you be trying to do.
No, but I will say this though, but like, if in fact a lot of sisters, right, are offended by Pusha T's like album cover, or even brothers, like, if people are like just offended, yo, then don't support the album, right?
Yeah, right.
And best believe, not just Pusha, not just Kanye, but everybody had good music.
Yeah.
Every other rapper's gonna be like, maybe I should fall back on certain shit, because again, at the end of the day, it's their occupation.
Right.
They're doing this shit for money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're trying to feed their kids and all that stuff, right? So if people going like, nah, you went too far, then people would change. But I'm going to be honest. I'm sorry.
It's only going to go so far.
I don't give a fuck about no Whitney Houston bathroom. Like, that's just, out of all the shit that I can think about right now, that's like at the bottom of the motherfucking barrel. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but I feel you though. I respect it.
Yeah.
And I did want to speak to the piece about, protesting in response to like certain artists.
Yeah.
One thing that came about a few years ago was a painter named Dana Schutz. I don't know if I'm saying her last name right, and I don't really care. But she did a painting called Open Casket, and that was an abstract painting of Emmett Till's Open Casket.
Shit was wild.
And it was banned from a few museums, and people called for it to be like not only banned but destroyed. And there was also like a couple stories of installation pieces of the story centering around like Mike Brown. So when you have shit like that, like protesting is absolutely necessary, because Dana Schutz is a white woman.
I was
And
about to ask her, yo, she black or white?
and I don't know the ethnicity of like the artist that did the Mike Brown pieces, but that has absolutely positively no place in the art world. And art is such a broad thing in which you say like this is our outlet to speak on whatever in the way that we want to speak on. But once you put those topics on a platform where, because the nature, like, we all went to art school, the nature of your art, especially when you put something up on the wall or an installation or something on the screen that's very personal and vulnerable to you, you're gonna get critiqued. The backstory has to come into that at some point. So people that protested, that said that they didn't want those pieces in their museums or in their spaces or whatever, more than rightfully did that, because again, that has no place in the art scene to be critiqued, especially when these stories are relative to things that are fresh, that are happening in this day and age.
I actually disagree.
Wow.
I'll be honest, because art is art. I don't want to censor art.
I was actually gonna.
That's why I'm like,
So listen.
And usually I rock with you on stuff like this, but I'm like, yo, if it's art,
No.
I don't feel like we should police art. You see what I'm saying?
So do you think that it's cool that somebody had an inflatable balloon that was supposed to resemble Mike Brown, and there was a timer attached to that was supposed to simulate his like labored breathing? You think that there shouldn't be censorship on that?
Listen. Now, art is subjective.
Yes.
So me personally, that's just a little tacky.
Yes.
Right? However, I don't know if I'm okay with telling a person, you know what, and this is your career, to be as creative as possible, to challenge society and everything. And you go, you can't do that though. I don't know. I feel like that's like
what is the
one of those.
subjectivity behind a story that we all know and have seen? What room for abstraction is there behind that? You know the case with Emmett Till. You know what the fuck happened. What room for subjectivity and interpretation is there for that? What else can you talk about when you look at the painting of Emmett Till? What else can you talk about besides exactly what happened? When you think about abstraction, you think about okay, the abstraction behind.
But hold on, but think about it. Emmett Till got fucked up because
of a white woman.
I looked at a white woman. So to me, a white woman articulating that, it could provide a different perspective. Even me as a black man, it could be just interesting seeing from her point of view. I don't know. I didn't see the piece. I don't know. It probably. Hey, who knows? It might look like ass. But you know what I mean? All I'm saying is, I don't know. I don't like censoring people. Like, yo, for example, right? You like Uzi Vert. I don't like that nigga. But I'm not going to be like, yo, you can't do your art because, yo, that shit sound like trash, bro. You know what I'm saying?
But
like, I just want to do that.
It's one thing from something. It's a difference between censoring somebody because it's not aesthetically pleasing. There's a difference between that and then telling somebody that they shouldn't do or can't do the work that they're doing because you're not a part of that community. This is not an exercise of any empathy towards that story. It's not your place. It's not appropriate.
Yeah, but think about this. Hold on. Can I just add one thing?
No.
Think about all the rappers you listen to.
Okay.
And I said the same point with Kev. Mm-hmm. You're not a woman. And you keep saying the B word, keep calling them females.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All the rappers that we listen to for the most part,
yes,
all degrade black women, but you listen to them motherfuckers, right?
Yes. I do, but I guess I'm like,
then.
They're not talking about
say, yo,
killing me
this
and dragging
shit is offensive. Me. Do not come out with this. They could do that, right?
And I guess that's where I was gonna go, because I just wanted to say this one thing, because we're all artists here, right? Mm-hmm. Do we all identify in the room as artists?
I just said, I was like, we're all artists, yes.
I actually didn't hear you say that. I'm sorry.
But she said, yo, nigga,
people
listen.
don't usually listen to them.
I'm pretty sure we can run it back. I didn't hear you. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But
not worried.
So listen, if we're all artists in the room, we know that the only job we have when you get in the artist mode is to say whatever it is you want to say, regardless of who thinks what. Now, maybe you don't come from that point, but I think that's what art is at its core. It's raw expression. And so when you put something out in the universe will automatically respond. So with this situation, she makes this statement, the universe checked her, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That woman who did the Mike Brown piece, which it does sound tacky, it actually just sounds tasteless, you know what I mean? But she tried to put this out, I'm pretty sure the universe will be like, get that shit the fuck out of here. And by that I mean the people who know to protest what will do their job. But I'm not going to say that she can't do anything. She can do whatever she wants.
Right. There's nothing like binding her. But I guess for the sake of what we talked in the past about she's got to have it. And I think I mentioned it on the episode about how Spike Lee regretted putting the rape scene in the film. And you mentioned that Chris Rock regretted that black people versus niggas joke. But it's just like, I mean, it can't be critiqued unless it's put out there. And no one's going to really around you stop you from doing your artwork and being like, hey, sis, hey, bro, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe that's not your place. Or maybe that did happen. But I guess for that sake as well, she's probably still thriving as an artist. She has like a lot of notoriety, it seems. But I mean, I feel like if that could be stopped, it would be well worth it. And I would be in total support of that.
Nah, I'm with you. You know, sorry for anything. Let's...
I didn't. I was just...
She's like, nigga, I'll slap you.
I will slap you. I'll slap the both of y'all. I'll take my shirt off. And,
I'm just
you can take that walk.
I'm just trying to survive out here.
That black feminism.
You see that? You see the trolling? You see that?
What was that? Hashtag black bed trash?
Black bed, yeah.
Black bed trash?
I don't even identify as black feminist. Okay.
So, yo, let's try to move into something else. What are effective ways to help different movements for people who don't like or disagree with protesting?
Hold on, say that again?
So what are effective ways to help different movements for people who don't like or disagree with protesting?
There's a lot of people that are just like, protesting is pointless. And I've seen some of the back and forth on social media between people who are just like, oh, what's the fucking point of marching? This isn't going to change anything. This isn't going to do anything. And then the response from people who are like in favor of protesting, in favor of marching. Okay, so then, all right, boom. All right, bet. You don't like marching. Okay, so then what the fuck are you doing? Nothing. You're on Facebook doing nothing. If nothing else, like protesting is a way to really center your anger amongst other people who are on the same accord with you. And at least you like maybe share a dialogue with someone. It is nice to be in the company of people who are on the same accord with you on like a certain issue or matter.
That solidarity. Yeah. The reason why I was a little confused is because I think we're assuming that protesting has to be like, oh, marching.
Right.
When there's various forms of protest, right? Like me, I don't believe in like marching unless I see a benefit towards marching, right? Yeah. But protest could be you just not patronizing that business or supporting that politician or whatever, or not clicking on a particular channel, or it could be donating money to the organizers that are protesting in the streets or whatever, right? Like I always say, like, everyone plays a part in the black community, right? Let's just say like hood niggas on the block, right? They could be like the front line against the police or something. Like not saying they should, but I'm just saying like everyone could play a role. Maybe you don't want to lose your job or whatever. Hey, you could be that person that provides like waters or something on the corner, like black man, black woman, you look thirsty. Yo, here, sis, here, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, boom, you played your part. Like everyone could do something. It doesn't necessarily have to be like, stop what you're doing, go outside and protest. Like perfect example.
Yeah,
I remember, was it Michael Brown or I can't. It was somebody that recently passed, and then everybody was demanding that LeBron James walk out on a game.
I remember that.
I was like, why?
They were like, yo, LeBron James should walk out.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, yo, you're talking about a man with like several endorsements, right? But none of y'all Negroes will fucking walk out on your job. And I was like, yo, that's that's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, yo, you big enough, you do it.
Yeah.
Like, come on, son. Like,
he sends like 1,500 kids to college a year. Yeah.
Thank you. If I fall on that sword, everybody falling on the sword, dog. We stepping on that fucking landmine together. You know what I'm saying? But people aren't willing to do that, and that to me is not fair. So it's like, and I'm not saying everyone has to do the same thing, but everyone has to do something. And if you're not willing to do anything, you shouldn't even be commenting. You know what I mean, I don't know if I even answered the question.
Nah, I agree with that. You shouldn't even be commenting if you're not gonna do anything. I agree with that. You know what I mean, you got anything on Sheens?
I agree with what G said. Like in whatever little way you can, if you see like a little GoFundMe or Indiegogo, Yeah, I think that there's definitely like different measures of effectiveness when it comes to what we all can do in our part to support like respective causes. Like even when I worked at a retail store, and I think I forgot which shooting happened, but I worked in like it was like an affluent part of Boston, and even one woman that just came in to buy like a swimsuit, like we ended up talking for an hour about the injustices in this country, and it was great to have that conversation because you would think in a space in that area, particularly of like affluent white people, that no one would really engage you or have the attention for that. Not saying that it was like necessarily her doing me a favor, but just in the very least, like it is at least nice to know like, okay, there are people who are not black who are who have the same level of outrage in this city. Okay, they're not that far removed or that desensitized by it. There are some people who are still on this planet that see what's going on.
Okay, I rock with both of those. I'm not a big marcher either, but yeah, if there's something where I see like, if you can even just one person, you can help that person out who's in need. Yeah, exactly what you said. Whatever you can do for someone, or whatever your contribution, it's all gravy with me, and that's all I try to do. Last question. We're good on time. We're actually right on time. So, when protesting specifically a business, I want to hear what you got to say on this show, because I feel like you probably got some strategies. But when protesting specifically a business in today's social media era, what's the most effective way to go about it as a collective? And you're one who claims
go about it as a
collective, yeah. Like specifically protesting a business. I don't want to keep getting on the Starbucks one, but I'm sure there's a bunch of them out there, that have done some things that seem unjust, or even ESPN firing Jamil Hill for, maybe that's not one to protest, maybe, but like I think they got rid of her because she shared an opinion that wasn't popular, but popular amongst the community.
Yeah, I think she did it like twice or something like that.
Yeah, and then
First, I would say if I'm really outraged about something, I would try to reach out to as many celebrities and political leaders as possible, right? Because they do have influence, right? No one's gonna really listen to G the nobody, right? But let's say you convince Beyonce to get involved in whatever you're into or whatever. Once she speaks, it's like she could like part the Red Sea. So like people gonna line up in formation. So
no pun intended.
Try it. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. So first, it's like try to get influential people involved in whatever your protest is. But however, before you even do that, I think what you need to do is map out exactly what you want, right? Too often we usually have these protests or people who are frustrated. However, they never came up with a solution, right? So like something that's tangible, they don't have it written down. So it's like, yo, okay, what do you want, right? Like for example, when the Black Lives Matter, and I think it was like Black Lives Matter from like Springfield, Mass or whatever. They were talking to Hillary. Yo, and Hillary was like G-checking them. Like, yo, what do y'all want? We're just angry. And I'm like, what the fuck? To me, that should never happen.
Yeah.
People should really organize and strategize. Like, let's just say we have a group of like 20 people. Who here is capable enough to actually answer questions and stay on code? If it's only 5 of us, then only 5 speak. Everybody else, yo, no comment, or
right.
I like to introduce you to my spokesperson or something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I would like to take this time to now direct any questions.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just like, yo, it's kind of like the military, right? It's like follow protocol. The problem with protesters is a lot of protests are fueled by emotions, right? Perfect example is kind of like the nonprofit world. The nonprofit world consists of a lot of people who are passionate but not skilled, right? And so because of that, they may do great things in the community, but because they lack the skill sets to keep the lights on, keep the building functioning and everything like that, it closes down. While the corporate world, they don't give a fuck about humanity for the most part.
Yeah.
But they got the skill sets to make money, keep making money. So it's like, you always look at an organization like a business. Look at your movement like a business. You know, who's the CEO, who's the CFO, things of that nature. Like, and be like, okay, now let's strategize how to minimize risk. If we do this type of protest, we have to anticipate the backlash, right? It's kind of like playing chess. You know what I mean? Like thinking 3 steps ahead. And once you see all of that stuff, or you anticipate that stuff, you have a greater chance of success with your protest. But if you're just like, yo, we emotional, and like, I'm just mad at police. And then another thing that I don't like about black people, nah, I'm being honest, like, this shit, you gotta really think about this shit. Yo, we live in Massachusetts, right? We live in Boston in particular. Boston police may be fucked up, but they not as fucked up as like Alabama, New York, or whatever.
No,
right?
not at all.
So when a black person in Boston sees like a video that happened in Chicago or something where cops are being assholes,
I see where you're going with this.
motherfuckers is going crazy in their neighborhoods towards police. It's like, yo, they ain't the same police. So like, it doesn't even correlate. You see what I'm saying? Like, our police chief doesn't really have clout like that to influence that police chief over there. So it's like, we got to move more strategically. You got to think like, okay, if we want change in that particular city, who are the politicians over there? You know what I'm saying? What can we do? If we have to phone-a-thons or whatever, just a call like City Hall or whatever, let's do that shit. But just to be like, yo, I'm just pissed off, and the next time you walk past a police officer, you bump him in the shoulder, and dude's like, yo, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, fuck you, pig. Like, if that's protesting to you, dog, hey,
fuck
whatever.
me, pig, huh?
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's just certain things just doesn't make sense, you know? Like, like if, for example, if McDonald's fucks up with black people, why are you protesting Burger King? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo,
right.
It's like, what the fuck?
He just hit all fast food.
Yeah, you know? Or you could do that. Or you could be like, yo, you know, if fast food's killing our people, fuck it, yo. Like, we ain't supporting no fast food. Then I respect that.
Yeah.
But if you got beef with the fucking, what's the shit, the Big Mac.
Yeah.
You like, we protesting the Whopper. It's like, dog. Like, my G, this shit doesn't
You hating
make
on
sense.
the rodeo burger at Wendy's, but
You know what I mean? Like,
beef is with McDonald's.
Wild, Joe. You know what I mean?
I agree with you right there. As soon as you brought up our police versus the other police, I was like,
it's like, yo, but niggas do that all the time, yo. It's like,
I mean, the police definitely here still be on their bullshit.
No, absolutely, yo.
But not to the degree of what we see over there.
Yeah, like sometimes I'm like, yo, do y'all act like y'all want to be as oppressed or as, you know, y'all want to feel like the same racism, because that level of racism that they experience.
That's what I'm saying, nigga. It ain't
here,
yo. It ain't here.
I mean,
it really isn't, yo.
Like I do agree with that to a degree, but at the same time, it's just like, you know, not everybody has their phones at that time to really like whip out. Who's to say that it didn't happen here?
Listen,
and you know,
no, but we're saying to that degree, like the volume over there is higher than ours.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
That's
like,
true.
Like there's probably actual Klan members in the Southern police down there, and up here it's probably just mostly like old Irish mob police. It's like it's actually two completely different.
There's not a Klan movement up here. There's not like a.
I don't know. I don't keep up with the Klan.
Right? I'm shocked that they're still around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, honestly.
The Klan now lets fucking black people and Latinos in.
I heard
you know what I'm saying? It's reckless now. You know what I mean?
It's just crazy, man. That's out of order.
That's when you know shit's real.
right. Yeah.
Motherfuckers is like, damn it, dog. We racist. But fuck it, yo. Affirmative action.
They fuck with Uzi Vert too. Probably do anyway.
That's why they going to hell.
Damn, man. Yo, that's it. That's all we got for today, yo. That's it. Protest and accountability. You know what I mean? Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. We're gonna close out. Yo, make sure you go to the website, upanicd.com, upanicd.com. Go down TC, join the convo, and do so the best way you know how. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, of course. Subscribe via email, iTunes, YouTube, or whatever you see fit. But that's it. It's You Panic. Talk to y'all next week.